I wanted to join the Air Force. I worked at the Australian General Electric at Auburn. And I told the manager that when I was 18, I was going to join the Air Force. And he said, "You can't join the Air Force, you're in a protected industry." Anyway, the birthday came along and I sat on my hands and didn't work. And they called me inside and eventually relented and said, "All right, you can go." So I joined up and they made me a wireless air gunner. They had the Empire Air Training Scheme system. They sent me to Canada to train, Calgary and Edmonton, and we flew across to Nassau to do our operational training. We converted to Liberator bombers, then back to New York, where we then boarded the Queen Mary and went off to the business end of the war. And we joined British Coastal Command. I was on a Liberator bomber, and wireless air gunner would be either on the radar or the wireless, or now and again we'd go out in the mid-upper. We used to fly 8, sleep 8, fly 8, sleep 8. We would be flying for 10 hours. The skipper, he was pretty firm about idle chat and that, you know. Sometimes we had radio silence. We didn't talk at all. We controlled up and down the channel, and then when the Allies were, after D-Day, they were moving closer to Germany. The Germans were sending the U-boats from Danzig, and our job was to stop that. We operated singly at night, and we'd operate under cover of dark, and also below the radar. And then one night, I picked up 3 blips, so I homed the aircraft on to the target, and there were 2 U-boats with 2 escorts, and we went in straight in. All hell broke loose when the lights went on. The 2 escort vessels opened up. They hit number 3 engine. I had a big hole just above my head, about 6 inches away. Anyway, we got back, flying at about 1,000 feet above the North Sea, where if you got wet, you lasted 20 minutes. Yeah, we had the same crew all the time. Skipper is Scotsman, second pilot was Canadian, 3 Australians, an Irishman. I could always tell an Australian by just looking at him. Yeah, we had a camaraderie that was good. I think everybody was frightened, not frightened, and nobody says I'm frightened because all your mates are with you and you never say to your mate, "I'm frightened," you know. I mean, you think about dying, of course. We were stationed at Lucas, which is just outside Dundee. It was quite a big base. They looked after us, and you know, when you went on ops, you got a good meal. Got my commission. I went to Ireland as an instructor there, as a flying officer. So we survived the war, or I survived the war. And we all came back to Australia to go to the Japanese War. But after about 6 weeks, they dropped the big bombs, and that was the end of that. After the war, I got a scholarship to the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, a Rhodes Scholarship, and became an actor. I learned not to be afraid of doing things, because I sometimes felt I was on borrowed time anyway.